Welcome to the Ozark Hobby Adventurist. I'm Ken, and today we are going to play around with a whole bunch of spare scrap parts, and we're going to build a little adventuring trailer. Needed to build a trailer out of stuff that I had laying around for an adventure crawl that we're doing. And, well, it's kind of cute. It's a little bit on the top heavy side, but it is a trailer nonetheless. So I'm going to show you how I put this thing together out of spare parts. The first thing we started with was an axial frame and shock towers. And then we added the ECX transmission cross brace and a Everest 10 rear axle, and we just put some screws in there to hold it all together for temporary. And we pulled out the pinion. Okay, one of the issues you're going to have to deal with is getting your wheels to move independently of each other, creating a differential action, if you would. So you could take a piece of tubing and weld it to the axle, solder it to the axle, cut you a piece of plastic to fit in there. This is how I'm going to solve today's issue. Power tools. So we are going to drill this out. I got to tighten it up a little bit. And if any of you youngsters aren't real familiar with using a power tool, it's always okay to ask an adult for a little bit of help. Always remember, safety first. So if you don't know how to use a tool, ask for some help. Drill these things out, and when you are done, you'll be able to look through it just like that. That's what we're looking for. Alrighty, let's get this thing put together. Got our drilled out locker, which is no longer locked. Got our axle, our other axle, and then it's just reassembly like a regular axle. Don't forget to put your pins and your 12mm hex drive on there also, because that will help you out a lot. And I'm just going to leave this open for right now. You can close it, you can cover it, pull the bearings out, what have you. And then we'll get to the next step, which is sliding on your lockers or your axle tubes, depending on what you want to call them. Alright, now we're going to do some cleanup work and get ready for the welding job. And welding is a lot like soldering. You need clean metal. And so if it needs sandpaper, if it needs a file, either way. Alrighty then. Metal's cleaned. She looks square. Looks like it's time to fire up the MIG welder. Okay, here we have our tongue all welded in, somewhat cleaned up. I'll have to file it down a little bit. This will swivel like forever, so the trailer will turn over and over and over and over. Issue I got to solve. Basically, this is like what your hitch is. You've got your hitch piece, your screw, and then your center tube that everything fits down into. And this little guy here will get welded in right in there. Okay, here we are. Got it painted, got it cleaned up, added a couple safety chains. This little thing is just like nothing to move around. Exactly what I was looking for in a trailer. Okay, now for the bed. Now the bed I made out of some scrap pieces of balsa wood and some little square matchstick thingies that I got at the craft store. Found me a neat little hinge. I made me a cool little tailgate. Kept my tolerances close so everything kind of holds itself together. Need to add a couple handles. And this will screw down onto the frame. Now, I did have to make a little spacer here to compensate for the distance between here and here as far as height-wise off the back of the frame. And so that will sit roughly about like so. So in order to take up some of the ugliness of the tongue, I decided that I needed to add a little deck in there, and this will be glued in with rubber cement. And then I got a couple little boxes to add onto it that aren't green or black, try to, break up the monotony of everything being the same color. And so those will sit there about like that. And we have stuff we can put in front of the box, like our little can. And we turn that around. It looks a little bit better that way. There we go. Alright, so if you wanted to put a 55-gallon drum, or maybe you wanted to put a spare tire up front. I mean, it's your trailer, it's your parts, you build it as you see fit. Creativity is part of the game. Alright, let me put some screws into this, add a little glue, and I'll be right back. And here's our trailer! Ta-da! Simple, inexpensive. Got 10 bucks in the whole thing, including paint and parts at the hardware store. So we've got our little boxes, got our front deck, got the body screwed in, works like a champ. I used reflective tape to make my reflectors for the back. Here's what I'm using for a ball hitch. It's a heim joint center ball with a screw and a washer. And it fits on like this here. Now, one of the problems you may encounter doing this is my hitch is attached to the body, and my body hinges forward to change the battery. So when I change the battery, I either have to hold the trailer up or unhook the trailer. And for you scaler fellas out there, got to add a safety chain. And I think it looks pretty cool. Nice and snug, isn't going to fall apart. Well, I think it looks pretty good for only having 10 bucks in it and a bunch of spare parts. Hopefully this will help you guys out. You can see we got a load in it. Got some sleeping bags and my Zippo and plastic tub. I'd like to thank Jim for the idea of putting the hinge right there. Looks awesome. Maybe we'll see you guys out on the trail soon. Happy adventuring.